Alright, so we wanted sort of an interesting stencil. This is just something I kind of found online and I sort of cleaned up a little bit. And it's just a black and white image of a barbershop sign. So go ahead and do File, Save As. And we're going to go ahead and save this as a JPEG. And I'm going to go to my desktop here. And let's go to barbershop sign. Let's see. Desktop, there we go. Find barbershop sign. And then I'm just going to name this BBS Alpha. Alright, so here we are back in ZBrush. Some of the settings is standard is fine. Go to stroke. You want to turn that to drag rectangle. For alpha, we're going to have to import in that image. So that's this guy right here. Hit open. Now some of the things I do is I start off by making this a matcap white. And if I hit shift and F, or I click this polyframe here, you can see that we don't have a lot of geometry in order to sculpt on. So I'm going to go to geometry here and I'm going to turn off smoothing. If I leave that on, you'll notice it smooths out all of my edges. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. I'm going to hit divide with SMT off. I'm going to hit Shift F to show you that we've added some more stuff. See that? So let's hit it a couple more times. Still not enough. And we're also looking at our active points. So I'm going to try to get to about, well, let's undo that. 230,000 is fine. Now with standard on and direct rectangle, if you hit P, it'll take you into perspective mode. If you take off P, if you leave P off, it'll leave it in perspective where we can kind of rotate around in that perspective. If we hit P again, you can see we're in perspective where it seems a little bit more um, kind of pulled out. I like to model in orthographic mode where it looks more flat. Alright, now watch what happens when I left click in here and I drag this out. You can see the white area creates a sort of 3D stencil. See how it's sort of off the surface? I'm at Control Z. Let's hit divide one more time, and you'll notice as we divide again, we're just going to click at that center. It gives us a little bit sharper of an image. Now, you can kind of adjust how you want the amount of depth and stuff by playing with these settings here. Focal shift, draw size, and Z intensity. So let's take our focal shift and make it all the way to negative 100, right? Notice what happens to my brush here. I'm going to hold spacebar so you can see it too. Here's focal shift. If I go to drag this out, what you'll notice is, and I'm going to rotate it so you can see that a little bit more, we actually get more of an oblong shape. Let's go to focal shift in the opposite direction so you can see that too. So I'll hold spacebar to show you kind of like another option way of accessing it. Let's go like 51, so something like this. If I bring this out, you'll see the same sort of setting. We get kind of like almost a curved effect. Let's undo that. I usually leave my focal shift when I want something flat at 0. Same thing with draw size, right? Draw size is sort of our brush. And then Z, if we take our Z intensity down to 6, notice how faint that barbershop image is. Now, because we're planning on baking this out onto a lower version, I'm going to go around 15 for this. And then just in my center here, I'm going to rotate up. Just do something like this. Now I'm going to hold Control, and what I want to do, here I'll hold off on that for a second. What I want to do is I want to make my barbershop interior have sort of a wood texture, and I'm going to make the outside a metal frame. So what might be cool is if we go to our surface here, and we do noise, you'll notice that it gives us a pretty cool effect where we have, let's kind of bring this out a little bit more, some noise or some surface information there. There's something cool which is the noise plugin. So if I turn on UVs, which will use the UVs that we brought in from Maya, and I hit turn on noise plugin, there's all this other cool stuff. I'm going to select wood, and oops, it's going to bring this over to the side here. I'm sorry, it was off screen. I actually selected wood. You can do cheetah, you can do all this other stuff. And then I'm just going to hit OK so you can see that. Now, in order to get that wood to really show up, you have to play with your noise scale. That includes the nil. And then the plugin scale. Let's kind of bring this. Let's take our noise scale off to the right so you can see that a little bit better. Go off to the right here. And then there's strength. Actually, let's go this way a little bit. So there's sort of our wood going on this way. And what I did here is my plugin scale is the scale of the plugin. My noise scale, I'm going to bring it all the way up. Those are those initial dots that are always there. And this is the strength of my overall wood texture. Let's take a look at, we can offset it a little bit. Now I'm just playing with the amount of depth here. And here's our overall strength. I think that looks pretty good. I'm kind of happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, remember I mentioned earlier, I only wanted the inside of this to have wood, but I didn't want the exterior. So what I can do is I'm going to hold Control here, and notice that this is also on freehand, and I'm just going to go to Drag Rectangle, and I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to drag out let's get rid of this. We're going to take off Mask Pen here, we're going to do Mask Rectangle, and I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to just drag out that inside here. Undo this. Something like this. And then you can notice here that it actually got rid of my noise. Anything that isn't masked, or anything that is masked will not receive noise. So I'm going to hold Control again. I just want to grab this little bit up here, this edge here, and then rotate it a little bit so I can see that. Let's make sure I get this little corner. I'm just still holding Control here. Now I'm going to hold Control and click outside of here to invert my mask. There we go. Now I'm going to hit Apply to Mesh. And now you can see that it applied that noise information to this. So something like that. I'm going to deselect that. What I can also do for the barbershop sign is maybe I can create some other screws or cracks and so forth. And you know what? We'll hold off on that. I'll let you guys kind of play with that. Now, another thing I'm going to do is if I hit Shift F, you'll notice it's all the same color or poly group. What I want to do is create different IDs for Substance. So what I'm going to do is, let's hit Shift F again. I'm going to hold Control again, and I'm just going to grab this frame like this. And I want this to be one material ID where I only apply metal. And this will make much better sense later. So I mask the back and I mask the front here. And then I'm going to go down to Polygroups, and I'm going to hit Group Masked. And now when I hit Shift F, you'll notice it's a different color. So I have two different polygroups here. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and export this as barbershop sign underscore hi. I'm going to save that. And then what I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to take this into Substance Painter, and we'll take a look at assigning polygroups, or I'm sorry, poly IDs and importing it in.